My wife's sponsored younger boyfriend sent me a photo of them together in a tent. In the wilderness, Jiang Yu's neck was covered in bruises. When I called her, she coldly replied, "I was just helping Jincheng set off fireworks." The next second, my mother's ashes urn was blown to pieces in the air. I frantically rushed to the scene, only to find Jiang Yu nestled in Zhao Jincheng's arms. "Sis, we took a random thing from your house for the fireworks. Do you think brother-in-law will be mad if he finds out?" Jiang Yu chuckled indifferently. "It's just some old urn. It's not like we took his mother's rice bowl. Why would he care?" "You're right. It's just an old jar anyway. It was already such an eyesore sitting there. Can't believe brother-in-law treats garbage like this as treasure." Jiang Yu shrugged dismissively. "Country bumpkins will treasure anything. That's what happens when you come from rural roots. Don't worry, I'll take you out to see the world soon. I won't let you end up like Song Yiyang, getting scammed by some vendor into buying this piece of junk." Zhao Jincheng was naturally overjoyed, kissing Jiang Yu several times. My eyes remained fixed on the jar that had been blown into fragments in midair, for it contained my mother's ashes, remains that had never been properly laid to rest. My throat tightened, and even my legs felt leaden, refusing to move. "Brother-in-law? When did you get here?" Song Yiyang's voice rang with feigned surprise by my ear. Jiang Yu turned and quickly separated from Song Yiyang upon seeing me. "How did you find this place?" "Deep mountains, lonely wilderness, vibrant fireworks, and the burning haystack." Yet Jiang Yu offered no explanation, only drew one. "Jiang Yu, do you even know that contained inside was my? How could you bicker with me over some cheap knockoff trash you bought from who knows where?" "Song Yiyang, I'll buy you 10 replacements, okay? We finally get out for vacation, and you had to come ruin it with this nonsense." My mother's ashes scattered soundlessly across the ground. My eyes were bloodshot as doubt about our decade-long marriage surfaced for the first time. Police sirens began wailing in the distance. Jiang Yu stared at the raging bonfire, her face gradually draining of color. "Sis, how did the fire get so big?" "I didn't mean to. I'm still in school. I don't want to go to the police station, sis." Zhao Jincheng's panicked cries snapped Jiang Yu out of her daze. After studying him for a long moment, then turning to look at me, she finally made up her mind and snatched the car keys from my hand. "Jincheng's still a student. He can't afford a police record. You handle this mess." "Handle it? Meaning take the fall for them?" She drove off in a cloud of dust. Zhao Jincheng sat in the passenger seat, giving me a provocative smile. "I see." Crouched down, staring at a fragment of the cremation urn at my feet, and finally couldn't hold back my tears. "Mom, I'm sorry. I failed you, disturbing your eternal rest even after death." I was taken to the police station, where I learned Jiang Yu had purchased the fireworks using my credit card, and even driven the car registered under my name. Deep mountains with no surveillance. Every piece of evidence pointed to me. I suggested checking our company's security cameras, but when we arrived at the office, the surveillance system had mysteriously failed. That day's records vanished without trace. "I can recover them." This minor malfunction was trivial for someone from the IT department like me. As soon as I spoke these words, Zhao Jincheng panicked, tugging at Jiang Yu's sleeve. Jiang Yu patted his hand and declared, "Officer, I can testify Song Yiyang wasn't at the company last night. He told me he bought many fireworks to put on a pyrotechnic show for me." My mind went completely blank. I never dreamed that my wife of many years would frame me for the sake of another man. "Jiang Yu, you'd slander me for his sake?" Jiang Yu's expression remained unchanged. "You're my husband. Why would I slander you for an outsider? Clearly you went too far, knowing fireworks are banned, yet still setting them off in the mountains." The two police officers exchanged glances. Why would anyone frame their own spouse? After all, jail time isn't exactly honorable. According to regulations, unauthorized fireworks causing public property damage warrant 15 days detention. I didn't move, just kept staring at Jiang Yu. "Jiang Yu, are you sure you won't tell the truth?" "Brother-in-law, stop intimidating your wife. As president of the Jiang Corporation, she wouldn't lie for you." Jiang Yu simply breathed a silent sigh of relief. Thank goodness she had taken Zhao Jincheng away early. Otherwise, that boy's future would have been ruined. During those 15 days of detention, I lay awake every night. Occasionally, I would recall the past with Jiang Yu. Back in college, we were in the same major. She was a wealthy heiress, while I was just a poor boy. Jiang Yu turned down countless suitors and chose me alone. And I, too, declined my guaranteed graduate admission spot, joining the Jiang Corporation immediately after graduation, helping Jiang Yu secure one project after another. I had thought we would grow old together. Never did I expect Jiang Yu would choose to sacrifice me for Zhao Jincheng. Such a marriage was not worth keeping. On the day of my release, I made my resolve. I first returned to the company. Pushing open the door of my familiar office, I found its layout completely altered. Zhao Jincheng sat leaning back on the desk, legs crossed. "Brother-in-law, sorry about this. My sister was supposed to pick you up from prison today, but it's my first day at the company. She worried about bad luck." This office has the best lighting and is closest to my sister's. Convenient for me to consult her. Brother-in-law won't mind letting me have it, right? Of course, even if you aren't willing to give it up, it doesn't matter. After all, Big Sis said it's fine as long as I like it. His words had hidden meaning, but I didn't have the energy to argue with him anymore. Then what about my stuff? Where was it moved? Zhao Jinsheng's smile grew even brighter. Tossed by the restroom. Big Sis said you could take any workstation you find. But really, I think the restroom suits you perfectly. Trash who's been to prison should stay in trashy places. You motherfucker. I couldn't take it anymore and swept the teacup off the table. Song Yang, what are you doing? The office door swung open as Jiang Yu's voice cut through from behind me. Jinsheng even reminded me today was your release day, asking if I should fetch you. And you? First thing out, you start throwing punches? I shouldn't have bothered getting you a lawyer. Should have let you rot inside a few more days to learn your lesson. Jiang Yu shielded Zhao Jinsheng behind her, each word stabbing into my heart. Jiang Yu, you've really outdone yourself. Let's get divorced. What did you say? Jiang Yu's eyes widened, her face filled with disbelief. I said, let's divorce. You're bringing up divorce over such a trivial matter? How absurd. My 15 days in prison were reduced to a minor incident in her eyes. I replied calmly with an uh-huh. Jiang Yu seemed provoked by rabies, grabbing documents from the desk and frantically began throwing them at me. Song Yang, what gives you the right to propose divorce? You're just a pauper from the countryside. I never looked down on your poverty. I even made you director of the technology department. You're nothing but a dog raised by our Jiang family. I stood still as she vented. The office doorway crowded with gossiping employees, hearing their whispers about my imprisonment, being labeled a freeloader. No need to guess who spread those rumors. I'll leave with nothing. I don't want a single cent from you, Jiang Yu. Let's end this. I slammed my employee ID onto the desk, then turned and walked away without looking back. I sat outside for a while, until night fell, then decided to return and pack my things. To my surprise, the password failed 3 consecutive attempts. Song Yang, don't you want a divorce? For these few days, you'll be a stray dog wandering outside. Come apologize to me and Jinsheng when you finally come to your senses. The text message made me laugh mirthlessly. Behind the same wall, muffled sounds of 2 people. Frolicking seemed to emanate from inside, and whatever love I had left for Jiang Yu vanished completely. By the time I had finalized the divorce agreement, it was already late at night. Sitting on the hotel sofa, I dialed Jiang Yu's number. I've prepared the divorce papers. When are you free to sign? Jiang Yu sked impatiently, her voice hoarse from sleep. Song Yang, must you keep being difficult? It's just an office space. Jinsheng will move out after his internship ends. Then it'll still be yours. Is it because your mom is sick that you've been in such a bad mood recently? I'll definitely go with you to visit her at the hospital when I'm free, okay? Mention of my mother made me choke up again with emotion. No need, Jiang Yu. When will you sign? Song Yang, don't push your fucking luck. Jiang Yu hung up the phone. A client from the company called inviting me to dinner together. Though initially reluctant, I finally agreed after insistent invitations from Director Zhao. After a few rounds of drinks, Director Zhao brought up the latest collaboration project. I shook my head wearily. Director Zhao, I'll be resigning from Jiang Corporation soon. Director Zhao laughed and patted my shoulder. Nonsense, Director Song. Where else would you go besides your wife's company? And with your talents, CEO Jiang would never let you leave anyway. I forced a bitter smile without responding. Just then, the waiter slowly entered the private room and hesitantly spoke. Director Song, CEO Jiang says, you need to vacate this room. President Jiang's smile immediately froze on his face. I quickly stood up before his anger erupted. Sure enough, there stood Jiang Yu with Zhao Jinsheng and a group of unfamiliar people. Seeing me, Jiang Yu tilted her chin upward. Song Yang, I want to treat Jinsheng and his classmates to dinner. Hurry up and vacate the private room. Before I could speak, Song Yang sneered sarcastically. Brother-in-law, just after mentioning divorce to sister, you're already dining at such a luxury hotel. Found your next sugar mommy already. Spending a woman's money makes you so bold with your expenses, huh? Before the words fully landed, Jiang Yu had already slapped me across the face. The onlookers cheered in approval, praising Jiang Yu's domineering manner. Jiang Yu pushed me aside with a shove. Climbed another tall branch already? Let me see who's shameless enough to be someone's mistress. She stormed into the private room with aggressive momentum. Song Yang immediately pulled out his phone, leading his classmates in a chaotic rush inside. Catch the mistress. Catch the mistress. President Zhao. Director Zhao, what are you doing here? Director Zhao straightened his clothes, ignoring her attempts to please him, and walked over to me. Leaving might be for the best. That small Jiang corporati was hindering your development anyway. If interested, you can join my company. I've wanted to poach you for a long time. After Director Zhao left, I cast a complicated glance at Jiang Yu and departed too. Outside the hotel, Jiang Yu caught up from behind and grabbed my sleeve. Yang, Why did you arrange to meet Director Zhao? Not what those gossips were implying. Are you disappointed? Of course not. Jiang Yu's smile looked slightly unnatural. Husband, I thought you were still angry. I didn't expect you'd started business negotiations already. Director Zhao earlier. He wasn't upset, was he? I don't know. I shrugged. Actually, when are you free to? Wait a minute. Jiang Yu's phone rang. Seeing the name, Jin Cheng, on the screen, she immediately cut me off and answered the call. Hello, sister. When are you coming up? We've already ordered the dishes and are just waiting for you. I'm already hungry. Jiang Yu glanced at me, holding the phone as she walked into the hotel. This time, I didn't speak up to stop her. Instead, I called Director Zhao. Director Zhao, you said last time that as long as I was willing to go, you'd let me join the management. Does that still stand? After officially joining Director Zhao's company, as soon as I moved into the company-provided staff dormitory, I received a call from Jiang Yu. Hello, husband, are you busy? Her voice carried a hint of cautious flattery. There seems to be a problem with the company's project. Do you have time to come back? As expected, nothing brings her to the Palace of the Three Treasures unless there's something she needs. I looked around the dormitory, a small duplex, sufficient for a single person to live in. Director Jiang, do I need to remind you? I've already resigned. Silence lingered on the other end. After a while, Jiang Yu spoke again. Who approved your resignation, Song Yang? I didn't permit you to leave. I remained unmoved. General Manager Jiang, I suggest you flip through the labor law. Employees don't require your approval to resign. Jiang Yu was left speechless by my retort, remaining silent for a long while. My patience had been gradually worn down. Just as I was about to hang up, Jiang Yu's voice took on a tone of flustered anger. Song Yang, don't think the company can't function without you. I'm giving you face by asking you to return now. You'd better know what's good for you. I snorted. The company truly couldn't function without me. Since Jiang Yu took over, she dumped all responsibilities on me. Every major and minor project in the company had been negotiated by me, one by one. It was also me who guided Jiang Corporation, once on the brink of bankruptcy, step by step onto the right track, making it one of the leaders in the internet industry. Jiang Yu had grown accustomed to me cleaning up her messes behind the scenes, which emboldened her recklessness. Seeing that I still showed no intention of returning to help her, Jiang Yu clenched her teeth. Song Yang, how can you be so heartless? Don't you just want a divorce? Fine, bring the divorce papers. As long as you agree to help, I'll divorce you, okay? Seeing my goal achieved, I slowly responded. Of course. Wait there. I'm coming now. When I hurried to the Jiang group, chaos reigned inside the company. Colleagues from the technical department sat in the conference room, their eyes fixed on Zhao Jincheng like starving predators, springing to their feet like drowning men seeing a rescue boat when they spotted me. Director Song, you finally came back. Amid their overlapping explanations, I pieced together the truth. Turns out, Zhao Jincheng had ordered my belongings thrown out, but kept my computer through sheer self-importance. He coaxed Jiang Yu into revealing the password, recklessly altered codes and files, causing program chaos, firewall breaches, and source code theft. I looked at Jiang Yu. She was still shielding Zhao Jincheng behind her. Jin Cheng didn't do it on purpose either. He had good intentions. He just wanted to see if you were actually cheating. Hurry up and fix it. Several partner companies have already called me. Seeing my stillness, Jiang Yu tried to grab my hand, but I shook her off. I pulled out the divorce agreement and threw it onto the table. Sign it. Jiang Yu's eyes reddened instantly. Song Yang, the Jiang Corporation is also your life's work. Are you really going to stand by and do nothing? I smirked, almost cruelly. CEO Jiang, have you forgotten? I was just a dog raised by your Jiang family. How could I have such capability? Jiang Yu opened her mouth, tears streaming down her face. I looked at her tear-streaked face, my heart eerily calm. After a long, wordless standoff, Jiang Yu wiped her face. Song Yang, don't you regret this? She signed her name and threw the divorce agreement at me. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, ignoring the pleas of others. With long strides, I walked out of the company. Of course, I didn't know Jiang Yu would soon frantically search the world for me. Meanwhile, Jiang Yu and the technical department staff worked through the day and night, yet still couldn't recover the losses. Exhausted, she returned home, where the housekeeper poured her tea with a puzzled expression. Madam, today was supposed to be the scheduled burial date for the master's mother. Why didn't you accompany him? Jiang Yu's teacup crashed to the floor. What are you talking about? My mother-in-law was fine at the hospital. What burial? The master rushed to the hospital that day, saying our condition suddenly worsened. He called you several times, didn't you know? And he had to abruptly leave the funeral because of some urgent company project, still wearing his mourning clothes. Noticing her pale complexion, the housekeeper cleaned up silently. Jiang Yu sat frozen for a long while, suddenly remembering. I had indeed called her many times before, but at that time, she was accompanying Zhao Jincheng to celebrate his birthday. When she called me again later, no one ever answered. She assumed I was deliberately avoiding her calls out of jealousy over her relationship with Zhao Jinyang. Jiang Yu thought she could just coax me later, at worst by more gifts to visit her mother-in-law. Now she realized. Her mother-in-law had long since passed away. Suddenly remembering something, her gaze fell on the place where I used to keep the ashes urn. What was placed here before? The housekeeper followed her pointing finger toward a cabinet. Old Madam's ashes. It was a bit eerie. I mentioned it to Sir several times, and it disappeared after a day or two. Probably Sir hid it to avoid frightening you, madam. Jiang Yu's face instantly turned deathly pale. No wonder. No wonder you were so angry that day. Her hands trembling. She tried to call me, only to find her phone number had long been blocked. Ms. Wang, give me your phone. After handing over the phone, the housekeeper retreated from the living room. The phone rang for nearly a minute before I finally pressed answer. Aunt Wang, what's wrong? Yang. Jiang Yu immediately spoke up upon hearing my voice. Yang, I didn't know that was our mom. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice became choked with tears, while mine remained icy in contrast. Jiang Yu, did you ever let me speak? Memories flooded Jiang Yu's mind. She realized now that every time I tried to speak, she'd impatiently cut me off. Whenever Zhao Jinsheng was around, she'd wound me deeply without hesitation. Jiang Yu covered her mouth, face twisted with remorse and guilt. As her sobs came through the line, I simply stated, "Don't call me again." The call disconnected. By the time Jiang Yu tried redialing, she was already blocked. She staggered upstairs, where soft bedroom light spilled out. Zhao Jinsheng's eager voice floated through the door. Mom, you really know how to handle women. Now Jiang Yu and that Song Yang are completely finished. And what's more, I sold their company's source code. That fool Jiang Yu was so easily deceived by me. Even spoke up for me. Huh? This time we sold it for a full 6 figures. Our family has struck it rich. Mother Zhao's laughter echoed through the phone. I told you rich second-generation heirs like her are easiest to fool. You must keep her tethered tightly. After marriage, make her bear several children. The company will be yours to control. Then you can kick Jiang Yu the idiot aside and find some pure college girl. Also, you didn't take action when blowing up the urn, did you? Oh dear, this kind of act brings terrible karma. Zhao Jinsheng's voice brimmed with arrogance. Of course not. I egged her on to do it. Otherwise, when would I have had the chance to set the fire while she wasn't looking? Jiang Yu trembled rageously, finally realizing. She had been manipulated like a fool by Zhao Jinsheng. Pushing the door open with shaking hands pointing at him, Zhao Jinsheng panicked upon her unexpected return, clumsily hanging up. Jijia? Back already? Tired? Want me to massage you? His flirtatious tone met Jiang Yu's unbridled contempt. Keep going. How about telling your mom more about scheming me? Zhao paled instantly. I was praising you to mom. Jiang Yu kicked his leg viciously. Still lying. My food, my roof, even your clothes and tuition, all mine. How dare plot with my money? Tired of living. She splashed scalding tea on him without hesitation. Zhao Jinsheng grimaced in pain, seeing Jiang Yu remained unmoved. Clenching his teeth against the agony in his arm, a sinister glint flashed through his eyes. Sis, I was just joking with my mom, he said, then reached out to embrace Jiang Yu. Jiang Yu twisted away, her eyes filled with utter disgust. All because of his scheming and provocation. She must have been blind back then to support such a person. She dialed her assistant's number. Have the assistant bring security to drag Zhao Jinsheng out of the house. Strip off all his clothes and throw him onto the street. Sister, I was wrong. Please don't do this. I really know I was wrong. Zhao Jinsheng clung to Jiang Yu's leg, pleading desperately, while Jiang Yu only kicked him away in disgust. She further instructed the assistant to publicize Zhao Jinsheng's deeds to other companies, resulting in his industry-wide blacklisting. After completing all this, Jiang Yu wearily collapsed onto the bed, caressing the photo frame containing our Vijal group photo. Tears of remorse streamed down my face. Then I steeled my resolve. Yang, I must find you and make proper amends. Yet my circumstances differed entirely from Jiang Yu's distress. Even could be described as smooth sailing. CEO Zhao showed complete trust in me. I assumed leadership of 2 core projects immediately upon joining his company. By the 2nd year, the projects achieved complete success, and I smoothly entered the Geshin Sung core leadership circle. One day, CEO Zhao excitedly approached me with his phone. Closer inspection revealed a video recording. Zhao Jinsheng's wretched state had been captured on camera, spreading across the internet, even claiming the top search trend. Serves him right for his evil deeds. CEO Zhao watched with relish, periodically commenting, "Nephew, let me tell you, your wife? No, your ex-wife leaked all these materials. This punk can't survive not just in our industry, but any profession." He then spat contemptuously. Hooking up with a married woman? What a scumbag. I responded with a non-committal smile. It really is karma coming around. Director Zhao's eyes flickered as he turned his intentions towards me. Consider this. My daughter will graduate next year, very quiet and refined, truly. I found myself torn between laughter and exasperation, hurriedly returning his phone. Director Zhao, I'm almost 30. There's a generational gap with your daughter. Nonsense, you maintain yourself well. Could pass for a college boy. I've been divorced twice. No matter. My daughter won't mind. Our whole family won't mind. Seeing no escape, I heaved a deep sigh, adopting a solemn tone. Director Zhao, I truly haven't considered such matters yet. I just want to focus on work. Director Zhao scratched his head and patted my shoulder with exaggerated sympathy. Understandable. Wounded men need time. My cheek twitched, but I didn't argue. In the following days, to avoid Director Zhao's enthusiasm, I deliberately kept my distance, until his assistant summoned me to his office again. Upon entering, an uncharacteristically stern expression replaced Director Zhao's usual amiable demeanor. He said solemnly, "There's some progress issues with the American project. I've recommended you for it. Are you willing?" I froze for a moment before finally reacting. "I'm willing. Don't worry, Director Zhao. I'll do everything in my power to push this project forward." Director Zhao gave me a few more instructions before dismissing me. We would depart in 3 days. He told me to properly bid farewell to my family during this time. What family? In this city now, I was all alone. Before departure, I treated colleagues to a meal and separately invited Director Zhao, thanking him for his mentorship. After all, without him, I couldn't have found work so quickly and might not have survived in this prohibitively expensive city. The night before my flight, I visited the cemetery again to see my mother. Under sunlight, her smile on the tombstone remained as gentle as ever. A bouquet of sunflowers lay before the grave. When I asked the cemetery caretaker, he said it was a young woman, probably Jiangyu. I nodded, then instructed, "Uncle, next time don't let her come. My mother probably didn't want to see her. Don't disturb the old lady's peaceful rest." During her lifetime, I had pleaded with Jiangyu countless times to visit my mother, just to bring some joy to the elderly. Jiangyu always refused without hesitation. 9 times out of 10 it was because of Zhao Jinsheng. Zhao Jinsheng's school talent show, Zhao Jinsheng feeling unwell, Zhao Jinsheng's birthday. Right up until my mother's deathbed, she never came to say goodbye. Bringing these offerings now, it's meaningless anymore. Life in America passed quickly. I soon integrated into the team and smoothly began my work. Compared to domestic workplaces, there was less office politics here. People addressed issues directly, analyzed pain points, with high efficiency. I made many good friends here too. Occasionally after work, I'd join them for gatherings. At one such gathering, I met an Asian American girl. Her name was Julie, vivacious and outgoing, very popular among colleagues. We shared many hobbies and interests, and gradually grew closer. Julie is very curious about my past, because former colleagues often mention Jiang Group's affairs to me from time to time. For example, Jiangyu barely managed to stabilize the company's situation. But after I left Jiang Group, its efficiency has plummeted. Many employees have switched jobs. And as the saying goes, one person can't hold up the sky alone. Especially since Jiangyu has largely forgotten the skills she learned in school, completely losing the ability to write new code. Jiang Group continues to decline daily, and they predict it won't survive much longer. Julie leans in curiously, staring at Jiangyu's name with a puzzled expression as she asks questions. After a moment's hesitation, I tell her about that failed chapter of my marriage. Julie remains silent for a long time, finally blurting out, "Just say the word, and I'll have my dad take down her company. And castrate that pretty boy too." Looking at her earnest little face, I can't help but laugh. I quickly dismissed Julie's idea. You could tell she was dead serious. I instinctively reached out to touch the spot where my wedding ring had been. That place was now bare, yet this small habit cultivated over years was hard to break. Looking solemnly into Julie's eyes, I said earnestly, "You could actually have better options. After all, you're still young and exceptional. You clearly could consider better candidates." But Julie simply leaped onto me without a second thought, cupping my face in her hands to kiss me. As my arms encircled her waist, I couldn't help but sigh deeply. The heavens had truly blessed me. I'd met a truly wonderful girl. Days continued in such busy yet fulfilling rhythm. This peaceful life became particularly precious to me. I had thought this tranquility would last forever, yet never expected to encounter Jiangyu again so soon. At the company reception, Julie clung to my arm, attending the event hand in hand with me. Amidst clinking wine glasses, a waiter approached, and placed a ring in my hand. With just one glance I understood. Jiangyu had arrived. The ring in my palm was designed by me personally. Heaven knows how many nights this engineering student had stayed up to perfect a ring design. The name on the inner band was hand-engraved by me. Clutching the ring tightly, the diamond dug into my flesh. I offered an apology and turned to leave the banquet hall. As expected, Jiangyu stood beneath the tree shade, gazing at me with teary eyes. Contrary to my memory of perpetual elegance, strands of white hair now crowned Jiangyu's head. "Yang," she sniffled, pouting pitifully as she gazed at me. In the past, I always softened at this pitiful demeanor of hers. But now, looking again, it felt like gazing at a complete stranger. Jiang Yu raised her arms to embrace me. I furrowed my brows and sidestepped to avoid her. She stumbled forward empty-handed, then lifted her hand again to clutch the hem of my coat. Her movements cautious and tentative. Yang, I truly know I was wrong. Could you forgive me just this once? Let's get remarried, please. I swear, from now on I'll obey everything you say. I'll hand over full control of the company to you. I took a step back, and Jiang Yu's hand grasped at empty air. Her arm froze mid-air as she stared at me in helplessness. Yang, I know you hate me, but all of this was Zhao Jincheng's fault. He schemed against us. I've already made him face proper punishment. Would you forgive me once? Let me make it up to you properly, okay? After we remarry, I'll go to your mother's grave and properly apologize to her. I snorted with laughter. Jiang Yu, don't you find yourself utterly ridiculous? Wasn't it you who actively gave false testimony to put me in jail? Wasn't it you who drove me and Mr. Zhao out of the private room to entertain Zhao Jincheng's classmates? And wasn't it you who knew full well the urn was placed there by me, yet blew it to smithereens without even asking? Though Zhao Jincheng is despicable, you, Jiang Yu, are not innocent either. I took a deep breath, memories of the past still carrying an indescribable heaviness in my chest. I tossed the ring into the trash bin. Jiang Yu's outstretched hand was a split second too late, watching helplessly as the ring tumbled inside. Her sobs came in hiccups as she tried to embrace me again. Zhu Li, having arrived at some unnoticed moment, yanked me abruptly to her side. Miss Jiang, Yang and I are about to get engaged. I believe you wouldn't want to be the other woman destroying someone's happiness, right? Her smile was perfectly composed, yet the arm linking mine tightened like a vice. Amused, I reached out to pat Zhu Li's hand. It's chilly outside. Why did you come out? The new pair of rings had replaced the original one. Jiang Yu stared at us, her face etched with bitterness. How ironic that she, of all people, would one day be called a homewrecker. Her lips twitched into a smile uglier than tears. May you find happiness. Each footstep fell like lead as she walked away, never once looking back. Zhu Li cradled my face in her hands, laughing. Seems I'd better take you home to meet the parents soon. I nodded obediently. May I ask what your father-in-law and mother-in-law prefer? I need to make proper preparations. Zhu Li's expression became Yi Wei Shenchang. No need to prepare gifts. My dad mentions you every other day, practically wishing you were his biological son. My eyes filled with confusion, when suddenly remembering something. There couldn't be such coincidence in the world. Hesitantly inquired. Uncle's honorable surname? Zhu Li burst into laughter and nestled into my arms. Humility aside, Zhao, the son